But with this technology, Alex, what was crazy about it was it's able to not only dissolve and make a high therapeutic dose, but it's consistently going to do that. Like its only mission is to do that, right? It's not like a byproduct. Ionization,
Yeah.
you byproduct, yeah, you'll have molecular hydrogen present. You know what I mean? But here it's just like, no, we know that's what's going to do the job. That's the heavy lifting. That's what we're doing, right? And so identifying a good company to partner with that's willing to work with me at the end of the day, because, I didn't have deep pockets or crazy amounts of just be like, let me just take the whole industry by myself. But it's just like, okay, we're going to go out here, put it on our back and take it to the people.
Welcome back to another episode of Cultivating Change, everyone. I'm your host, Alex Corey. Thank you so much for spending some of your time today. My guest is Horrasias from Wealthy Water Group, and Horrasias has a pretty unique story of being with one of the top water ionizer companies in the world, probably the most popular in the world, and then retiring because he did so well and he was able to help so many people. He retired from that industry and essentially got pulled back in recently whenever the technology around all the different water bottle devices and like inhalation breathing tube things we see circulating around the internet. There was a big jump in technology a couple years ago and he got pulled back in. But kind of like me, there's a lot of companies out there. So he spent a few years vetting all the different companies around the world that were producing all these machines. And he selected a few that were worth our time, so to speak, that he chose and brought them back to the US. So we're going to go over the different leapfrogs in hydrogen rich, molecular hydrogen, electrolyzed reduced water, and some of the new technology around proton exchange membrane, what any of that means and why it matters for your health if you're dealing with any of the normal stress related conditions like brain fog or digestive issues or chronic inflammation, all of that things that hydrogen has a really potent effect on. This episode will be for you. Thank you for joining me today, first of all.
Thanks for having me.
I'm always interested in people who come to water. Such a weird thing to like make your like life pursuit or a business out of it, just something to focus energy on. It's so fundamental. Mm-hmm. And whenever I say I'm in clean water to people, they're like, oh, that sounds kind of important. Like it's weird because it's, we take it for granted. I take it for granted. I took it for granted until like 5 years ago, until something happens and then you don't take it for granted anymore. So people know my story of how I got in the water, but if you could, we're going to cover like hydrogen water. I'm going to pick your brain a lot about sort of the new technology around hydrogen water, how it's changed, how you found some of the new tech opposed to like electrolysis, and then what Wealthy Water Group specializes in. So if you could just start by introducing yourself and how you came into Wealthy Water Group.
Okay, well, thanks for the opportunity once again to see you, talk to you. My name's Horrasias Balabyekkubo, originally from Uganda, like long walks on the beach. And no, I'm just kidding. Essentially, I was, missionary, traveling all over the world, and then as you're growing up, you just kind of you have a peripheral knowledge of like there's something wrong with water, right? But what can you do? You'd have no control. And I never knew that I would be on the water journey, to be honest. So I was in sports, got an injury, that was over, got into the world of selling, ended up being a banker for 7 years, high finance, helping people move money from Asia to Canada. And I was doing just fine, and then I had my firstborn son, and round 3, we found out that after he had gotten a shot, he ended up going nonverbal. And so as any parent, you start panicking and you don't know what to do. And is it short term? Is it going to change? You're looking for every lotion and potion that's out there, And in that process, a friend of mine had been a part of a company that was selling, molecularly restructured water. And, it was being used by Dr. Corinne Allen based out of Manhattan as, part of her treatment process. Now, I couldn't afford the $10,000 to sit down with her in Manhattan, but definitely the $0 down $125 a month I could for the product. And so, we and it was so funny in that first meeting, I'm athletic, young, sexy dude, I'm all right. I don't need anything. And this guy says, just drink as much water as when you're sitting here across from me. I was like, yeah, sure, man, whatever. I drink about a gallon while I'm sitting there, right, while he's talking. And at the end of the meeting, I'm like, feet up, you know what I mean? Talking super loud. We're in a Starbucks. I'm like talking super bombastic African style, super loud. And, I was like, oh, there's something about this water. He's like, yeah, I guess so. He was, demure guy. So here I am, just super booming. It was a funny story. But so I said, okay, you know what? Let me try it. Anything for my son. So at that point, they were telling us he wasn't going to go to school. He's too rambunctious, strength of 20 men, that kind of thing. So over Christmas holiday, I started giving him this water. Now, from week one, he's still lifting couches. He's like, it's just super crazy. I was like, well, this didn't work. But by week two, you see a change. You see him calming down. And then, like, after Christmas holiday, we took him back. We say, just give him a chance, and now he's in grade 10, going into grade 11, and so it's just that switch of the water. Nothing changed. That was before we found out about diets and whatever else. It was just the water that we switched. And it was like, okay, cool. Now, for me, seeing this, I'm like, every parent should know that there's something that they can use, something they can do, anyone that's in my situation, right? And so I'm a banker at this time, 70-hour work weeks, kiss the kids in the morning, tuck them in the night kind of story. And, I'm just kind of like, I need to be there, to be more present. And so a friend of mine, same friend, he's like, hey, we're having a convention. Come down here, come check out what we do. Because we had been in business together in other ways, but I had never taken a look. I didn't know there was a business attached, like, to the water side. I didn't even think about it because banking. So I went to Anaheim, saw the presentation, was blown away, seeing all the success, whatever. And I was like, well, I can sell stuff. Why don't I just take a chance on myself? And so sure enough, like, I called my friend, cousin in Toronto, Ontario. And I was like, hey, I've seen something. I think you need to see it too. And, that was kind of like the rest is history from there. That's how I got into the water, because after that first presentation, massive success right away. 28 days, I'm at 6A, or, part of, leadership in the company, right? And so it just felt like this is right. I get more time with the family, and, the love for finance can only be so much. Like, you got to be really, really, in love with numbers to stay there. But so that kind of was the way that I entered the water world. And for the last 15 years, I've been kind of going full tilt with it, traveling the world, talking to different, we launched 12 countries, affiliates, and, all 12 countries. Then we have 4 headquarters across the world. And so it's just grown naturally and organically. I took a step back 5 years back, and coming back out of retirement just because more people need water. So that's kind of the long and short of it. I don't know how granular you wanted me to be.
So when you say retired, what do you mean?
Go back to that. Okay. So, being in finance, you know the levers of power and how to use money and how to leverage money. So when I say retired, I mean the kids' education is paid for, my life insurance is paid up for 20 years. So it's like I didn't need to go to work, to make a dollar. Like, for me, the biggest piece, or what moves me, is impact. And I saw that I could impact more people through the water business. One, two, we came as refugees to Canada. And so I didn't want to leave Canada without giving something back. So that's what the water was for me, giving people clean water and being able to say, okay, I'm going back to Africa now. Thank you for saving my family in our time of crisis. Now let me go help Africa. And so we launched in Uganda in 2015. And that's kind of where I was going to be, staying in Uganda, helping over there. And also being retired just meant, like, trading time for money was no longer a thing. I was working 20 hours a month and, doing all right. And so for the last 5 years, literally, I was just raising my children. That's what's the most important thing to me. And, and then a friend of mine called me and said, hey, there's this thing that's happening in our world. You should probably take a look at it. That's kind of when I got off the couch and got back into it.
So whenever you say clean water, the thing that I still get overwhelmed with, there's so many terms and so much marketing that's applied around water. So whenever you had the effect with a gallon and then your son saw the effect, what type of water? Are we talking like hydrogen water, ionized water, alkaline? Like what was it?
Yeah, it was ionized. So it's electrolyzed reduced water, which is just, restructured water at the end of the day, which is what that machine creates. It's an ionized water. So there's electrolysis happens 2 ways. There's, when you're doing it through PE, the new SPEPEM technology. And then there is when you are using just actual ionization, right? So where you're splitting the water up into a high pH water and then acidic water coming out of the bottom, a low pH water. And so that's the one that I had started with. That's the one where I saw crazy results and got into the world of restructured water. And then as we go along, I don't know a lot about your background in the sense of when it comes to ionized water, but it's literally been the same technology for the last 78 years,
Right.
in just varying degrees, either for a whole town or for NASA, or like sometimes there's just these giant engines, and then there's the retail version that we get to have on our countertops, which is a game changer for somebody who's been either toxic or has lots of inflammation. It's going to have an effect. There's no question about that. But the study came out 2022 that said actually the heavy lifting is just molecular hydrogen in the water. So then now the race becomes, hey, which one has or produces the most molecular hydrogen? And that's kind of like where it is, because there's only one gold standard, really. You know what I mean? And I'm not afraid to say that because I went around the world talking about it for 15 years. And that gold standard was, the company that we were working for. I don't know if I'm allowed to say here.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't care.
You never know, right? But so Enagic is the gold standard. That's the truth of it. There's Jupiter, there's Life, there's all these other companies, but they were really just biting off of Enagic at the end of the day. With 58 patents on the machine, most companies had mesh plates, and so for me, like I could go down the primrose path and tell you exactly what's wrong with all the other ones, right? But why they're the gold standards, because they took care to get the technology right? No, not a lot of moving parts. And everything. As long as you had good source water, the machine will do what it's supposed to do. You know what I mean? And that's what I loved about it. I used to be able to say, it is what it is and it does what it does. That was how I finished my presentation. And so when that changed in me, that's when I was just like, okay, cool. Now I had my clock cleaned. I'm not going to lie to you when I first saw the new shift, the leapfrog in technology. And so that's kind of where, the diversion happened.
Yeah. So that's using normal electrolysis. So, anode, cathode, and splitting water apart, right?
Yeah.
That's 50-year-old technology.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And so, as we know, the world is innovating. AI is taking our jobs. In the electrolysis, there's no such thing. It's going to stay the same. It's going to do what it's supposed to do. And that's what was beautiful about it. You know what I mean? But, when we're talking about dissolving hydrogen into water, there's only one real way to do that. Right. So either you're restructuring the water, like I said, splitting it into two, having high pH and low pH, or you're dissolving molecular hydrogen into the water, which is what SPEPEM technology does.
Yeah. Can you go into, that terminology looks so sciencey, because I throw that around too, because no one wants to say the full thing, but could you explain
solid polymer
that is?
Yeah. Exchange and proton exchange membrane, right? So essentially it's the same electrolysis process. There's an anode and a cathode, right? And it's the same process, but what's happening now is that it's taking the hydrogen or the H2 molecule out of the water, not out, but sucking it through the proton exchange membrane and then resplicing it back into the water, right? So essentially just trying to, multiply is the easiest way to, if we're going to talk in plain English, the amount of molecular hydrogen that's available to the body by just dissolving it into the water instead of just having it present in the water.
And the question that I always see on social media and that I try to put in there and preemptively do it, people will say hydrogen-rich water. And then the normal person will be like, I'm pretty sure there's hydrogen in water already.
Yeah.
So it's the going into the specific, this is a therapeutic gas. So could you explain a little bit about what makes, quote, hydrogen rich, or what is molecular hydrogen, and why is it not just available in normal, quote, tap water?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is I always try to sound as least sciencey as possible. And in my presentation, I used to be like, oh, well, this is the sciencey part. Because I don't pretend like I'm a genius science guy, right? But the simplest way to understand it is that, yes, you have regular H2O, right? Which is just meaning you have two hydrogens and, and an oxygen in the water, right? Hot. And we call that water. Welcome to the science. And then molecular hydrogen is just simply taking that H2O, right? And then you're literally just, I don't know, the best way to put it to you is like literally just, it's small. Hydrogen, we all know, that's why it's the first thing on the periodic chart of elements. It's the smallest molecule. So what you're doing is you're just splicing it, making it even smaller, right? Right. I don't even know how you like get a Ginsu knife and cut it in half. I don't know. But essentially, when you slice it and then dissolving it into the water, making it into a gas. So that's the difference. It's like H2 is there, and then you're making it into a gas, and then that gas is going to dissolve into the body. It's the only one that's able to go through the blood-brain barrier because of its gaseous form. And our body naturally creates this in where we produce ghrelin in the stomach. So when you're drinking hydrogen-rich water, all you're doing is you're saturating the cells with molecular hydrogen, allowing them to receive the water into the aquaporin, the cell, and then it's just going to flush out the cell, right? Meaning flush out the toxins that are in the cell, or chase down the free radicals, loan them an electron, right? Because they're positively charged. Then they become H2O, which is water, and then they naturally be flushed out. So it's kind of mitigating the damage that free radicals do to the body.
And free radicals is a pretty large term. Is there like a specific one that you know
hydroxyl,
the hydroxyl radical? Okay.
Yeah. That's the one that does the most damage, right? Because it's on a mission. Its mission is to kill you. The other ones are just kind of like, because there's good free radicals as well, just like you said, right? But yeah, so the hydroxyl free radical just looking to mutate. Now you're making me into a scientist. I don't know about
a little bit. So it's hydroxyl is OH, right? Like
correct.
And then when H2 comes, it just binds and then turns back into water?
No, essentially what's happening is that by loaning it the electron or the molecule itself, it loans itself over there. So then what happens is now 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen again. So that's how it turns it into water.
So it turns free radicals back into water.
Correct.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah. That was like the coolest part for me is, I'm going to tell a story here. So my mom is 65 now. At the time, she was 59. She's gone into, starting her menopause and all that stuff, right? And she's secretly drinking the water. So face to face, she's telling me, it's probably scam, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, what do you got my nephew or my grandchild drinking? Because my niece, she's played Division I basketball. And I was just like, athletes use it. LeBron uses it. Steph Curry uses it. Russell Wilson uses it. They use it for one reason, so that they can get that lactic acid not to be present, so that they have no fatigue in the muscle, and they'll be able to, continue to play. Tom Brady, he swears by it. Like, that's why he was able to play so long. So I'm like, Ketra, you're going to be dunking in no time. That's my niece's name. And so she's drinking the water. So I just say, mom's not going to drink it. At least I'm going to put it on the countertop, hoping that she'll drink it because she cooks. She's the one who takes care of everybody there. And so she's secretly drinking the water, right? Loses 60 pounds in 3 months, goes down from 16 medications, she's anemic, to 1, right? And so, but she's still an African, grandmother. She's still deep frying. She's still cooking the stuff the way we normally eat our food. So still doesn't say, hey, I'm drinking the water and this is what's happening to me. We all just panic thinking something's going on with mom. She's losing weight. And so when we launched in Uganda, primetime TV, the whole nation's there. Right before the news, we had our demo shooting live, right? It was a really cool moment, And my mom takes the mic because people were giving testimonies about what the water has done for them. So mom takes the mic, like, oh yeah, I lost weight, da-da-da. Man, I got my period back. I'm like, bro, what a... You just announced to the nation you can still have kids. There's dudes out here that watch you. She's an eligible bachelorette. Yeah, so it was just a really funny story. But the cool thing is like seeing it happen for my mom, seeing it happen for my grandfather, my son, it always built my conviction. And I said, maybe it's just our family, right? But then you go to a place like Pasco, Washington, with uranium in the water, arsenic through the roof, 222 times, the recommended amount. And this guy comes in and he's been in pain for 42 years. He's had his hips replaced at 17, autoimmune. He's good, all this crazy stuff. And he was ready to just literally cash out his retirement, move to Bali, live out the best years, and then just end it, I was like, listen, just give me 21 days. Come here, promise me you'll come here for 21 days, drinking the water. We had him doing the inhalation, right? So this was his regimen. You'd come in, you'd inhale the gas for about 30 minutes, you'd drink the water, and he obviously had the machine and the bottle at his house, right? So after 21 days, we start seeing more improvement. He's happier, he's healthier, he's feeling good. And I'll send you his testimonial so you can have it. But what was cool about it is like he's not feeling pain anymore. He's not taking afternoon naps anymore. He's not literally writhing in pain. Like, because every day, his day routine, and you'll hear it in his testimonial, is he would wake up, he'd go to the local recreation center, get into the hot tub, sit as long as he can, just to get some kind of relief. Come home, be kind of like curled up in a ball, and so seeing someone like that truly transformed right before my eyes in the course of 6 months, his life is totally different. Now he's sporting a goatee, going to Vegas, feeling like it's the best time of his life. I think this is where I'm like, my belief shot through the roof that this can help anybody, right? Because I have crazy testimonials in my family, but you'll just say, oh, that's just, you're just saying it. But like now this guy is outside of me and he's doing the same thing. And I'm like, I got to come back out of retirement and begin to push hydrogen water as the way forward.
So you mentioned inhalation in there, and I started seeing this online at least. It's probably been around for a bit, but before, I think it was highly specialized medical devices. You didn't see people inhaling hydrogen all that frequently until like maybe 3 years ago on the
Yeah.
internet. It started
Well, there's
becoming,
a
you see
reason
like,
for that.
Tubes in people's noses. You're like, are you on oxygen?
Yeah, you're
What's
like,
going
everybody's on
on?
oxygen. What's
Yeah. But it was, yeah, I mean, you'd have a hydrogen device right next to you. And I
Yeah,
don't know if that coincided with the technology you mentioned, SPE, PEM, because you could isolate the gas.
correct.
How did
Yeah.
that come about?
So essentially, the biggest why I keep calling it leapfrog technology is simply like this gas has been present. It's being used in submarines and the spaceships, right? Like it's around. Science knows about it. It's not like we all of a sudden in my basement made it or something. You know what I mean? It's been around. But what's crazy is during COVID here in America, we were using oxygen canisters to try to keep people alive, right? Over there, they're using H2 gas as part of their therapeutic dose to try to keep people alive. So seeing these results is why, well, we need the hospital beds because people are getting sick. So now these companies that were already producing molecular hydrogen, they just made a retail industry where you can get it in the home, right? So you can take it, and then now it's preventative healthcare as well. Like, hey, we're using it, it's working. Plus, you can get it in the home. So people started buying it. So that's kind of what made the industry blow up even more.
I was wondering where it exploded from. I didn't put that
Yeah.
together because I didn't see that over here. And I was like,
Yeah.
what just changed? Why is this all of a sudden a thing? It's like people can't be that infatuated from it, from the drinking water,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
it was still so niche. And then, yeah, it just started exploding. Like Gary Brecka started talking about,
Yeah.
it takes a couple of influencers
To
and
really
then
get it into
all
the
the
future.
knockoffs start being made. So that's
Yeah.
kind of what I wanted to talk to you about was like manufacturing quality, because people get, it's such a cool technology, but people get
Mhm.
burned so
Yeah.
easily by buying cheap versions that
Yeah.
have great marketing behind them, and they're like, hey, we're
Mhm.
going to put a little blue LED light in this little portable bottle. You hit a button and then you have magical hydrogen, and I'm like,
Yeah.
for $50, I don't know what you're doing
I
with
mean,
that.
I get technology is good, but I don't know if it's that good.
Right.
No, but yeah, I think to really drive it home, here we have like Tesla, you have Apple, you have Google, companies that are known and they're juggernauts in the industries that they're in. The same way over there, they do have like the big five, right? And so those companies have been working in hydrogen gas and hydrogen production for over 20 plus years. So it was literally just like, oh, we can put this into a smaller version and make it better. And so when that happened and people started seeing that, yeah, okay, people are interested, people are wanting it, that's where all the knockoffs came on. So for me, it wasn't just that like, oh, cool, there's inhalation gas, let me go get some. It was more actually like I got enamored with just the fact that for the last 15 years, I've been selling this product and the product purports to give this much hydrogen, right? And then it's just like, oh, but the efficacy isn't there because of source water or because it wasn't pre-filtration or whatever. So I went on like a deep dive mission, like Indiana Jones. I got to find the holy grail of this thing before I start talking about. Because like I told you, I've been semi-retired for 5 years, and I wasn't just going to come out and keep shilling the same thing, hoping that it's going to do something different because we know that's insanity. right? And so it was a huge gut punch. And it also made me really remember, like, oh, wait, when I was in Hungary, source water. Oh, when I was in Budapest, okay. And then I went to India, it was the same thing. Went to Asia, it's the same thing. Vietnam, okay, now in Uganda, oh, Tanzania, source water, source water, source water. So I was like, if this is really important, then I want to get with companies that are actually going to be able to do something about that part of it. And then if I'm going to still talk about hydrogen, I want to find companies that are also able to deliver. So that's the biggest thing, man. Integrity in marketing, yes, but integrity as a human being, knowing that I'm giving you a product that is going to last. I don't want something that you're going to call me next week and be like, hey, man, this doesn't work, or it hurt my mother, or you know what I mean? I didn't never, because the beautiful thing about having the Ferrari of the industry all those years is that I never had anyone ever come to me and say, hey, it didn't work.
Right.
Hey, I didn't see an effect. So that's why I say, like, it's not about stop using that one. It's just about, hey, make sure you're cleaning it. Make sure it has good source water. It's still going to do what it's supposed to do, right? But with this technology, Alex, what was crazy about it was it's able to not only dissolve and make a high therapeutic dose, but it's consistently going to do that. Like, its only mission is to do that, right? It's not like a byproduct. Ionization, you byproduct, you'll have molecular hydrogen present. You know what I mean? But here it's just like, no, we know that's what's going to do the job. That's the heavy lifting. That's what we're doing, right? And so identifying a good company to partner with that's willing to work with me at the end of the day, because, you know, I didn't have deep pockets or crazy amounts of just be like, let me just take the whole industry by myself. But it's just like, okay, we're going to go out here, you know, put it on our back and take it to the people. That's kind of what happened. And so I identified 3 good partners. One that specifically just makes the generators, one that specifically makes the bottles, and one that specifically does the filtration. So now I know that I got the best of the best for each of the products, and I can be able to deliver that to the consumer.
What were your, I'm really fast because that's what I always have to do, is not probably at your scale. I'm not worldwide yet, but people send me like 3 to 5 different systems a day. And half the time it's easy enough because everyone uses the same marketing language and it's always the same words. And then it's just kind of go to the testing. When we first met, I was like, oh, you have Eurofence testing. Can you send me that? Like, that's the only thing that differentiates it for me. But the same process of just vetting different companies, like who has integrity in their product, who am I willing to work with, because this is now sort of my reputation and like you said, your reputation. What was your process and what are your characteristics for who you choose to work with and sort of the products that you will use around the world?
Well, for me, it starts and ends with does the team I'm working with have integrity? You know, because they want to sell their products too at the end of the day. And you know, the big slur around here is like, oh, it's made in China, it's made in China. Well, no, the technology is actually South Korean technology. There's only 3 guys that actually developed the technology, and then they sold it to everybody, right? So it's just like, okay, well, all right, did I get the genesis point from one of those guys? Right? I don't want the telephone effect of like, oh, we know him. No. Did this technology come from those guys? And I was lucky enough. Like, it was literally, sorry, I hit the mic. It was fortuitous because I was working with a partner that was bringing the technology from the third person that brought it to the country, to the U.S. I was working with them at the time when these guys who were trying to sell the SPEPM technology came over to do a presentation. So in there, I was sitting in, I'm listening in, and they're seeing like, oh, we're going to sell it to all Americans. I'm seeing like, oh, wait, I can go right to the manufacturer. Oh, okay, cool. You know what I mean? So always sitting and listening. So part of my process is OEM, how many hands touch it? What is the accreditation or the certification that you have? And so when I got to European standards, that's when I got really happy because I know, like, yes, here it's kind of like pay to play. You know what I mean? Even the IHSA, sorry, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but like, you know, they just essentially, if you have capital, you know, and the product works, they'll put a stamp on it, like, you know. But it's just like, for me, I wanted more than that. I wanted to, because let me go back a little bit. I know we're just having a conversation, but the coolest part about being part of the Magic family was that I could go anywhere in the world and I could say, this machine works. It's going to work this way. And if it doesn't, they'll back it up. So now if I'm going to go out on my own, I need to be able to at least match that. You know, I need to at least be able to deliver. And I listen, and that's why it's so funny when people get, oh, he's an educator. I'm not. It saved my son's life. It saved my mother's life. Like, what are you talking about? For me, it's like, what is the best for the customer at the end of the day? Because not everyone's going to be a finance guy who has the ability to get the machine.
Right.
And if we're really talking about true wealth, then we want to make sure everybody can get it, right? And so now being able to go right to manufacturer allows me to change or set the price essentially for what the product is going to be to the end user. I love that. The control factor. I can look into the process. I'm not just buying and then drop shipping, right? A friend of mine's like, why aren't you drop shipping these things? I'm like, well, because then you lose a little bit of like the ability to look into the process, right? And so having a lockdown process, knowing that you're able to not only go back, retest. I remember we were selling the first generation of the Row H2, and it was producing the hydrogen, but the UV was kind of messing with it. So we took it back, and over 300,000 tests over and over and over again. It took us, we're supposed to launch 2023. We didn't launch until end of 2024, just to make sure it was right. Right. And so because I know I'm up against the behemoth that is an addict, I'm not going to go in there and just put my name on the line for something that's not going to work, you know?
Right.
And so that's kind of what was the driving force behind of the product. So integrity in the manufacturing, integrity in the labeling. And that's why I wish I was a marketer. You know, all these years of selling, I don't know what the hell, one way to write. You go look at my site, you'd be like, you could have said this differently. I just, hey, this is what it does and it works. Take it. My business partner, Dave, hates it. He's just like, well, we got to get some language together. I'm like, it just does what it does, man. I don't know what to tell you, you know?
The simplicity is nice. It's also,
Yeah.
it's refreshing to not have like a whole bunch of fluffiness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be like, this is what it does. It's powerful at hydrogen. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, what's cool, Alex, is like, even with the bottle, right? Like we were selling the Hydro Boost. We sold a ton of them.
Get into the bottles a little bit. This is the part that I am very excited about, which you might actually not care about all that much, but there is such like, it's most people's, in my opinion, introduction to hydrogen water because of the price point and because of the ease of use. But people are getting super turned off on poor results, or like none of the bottles are built to last more than the warranty, which is a year.
Correct.
And people are pouring tap water in them and just destroying them because
why isn't it working? I don't know. That our thing.
But so what I'm trying to get at is a lot of people aren't even seeing or feeling what hydrogen could do for the inflammation or could do for the brain fog or the ache, whatever they're experiencing, because the product that they came across and they got marketed isn't the exemplary product of the generation. It's just not working all that well. So if you could go into sort of how the hydrogen bottle works, you say it was the Hyper Boost?
Yeah, no, well, the Hydro Boost is what we started with. So the reason I was bringing it up is like because then the Echo Go was out there, and then the Evolve, and so we were all pretty much neck and neck for like production, who produces the most, right? And that really started get to me a little bit, right? Because yes, we had the best price, and we had kind of like equal billing. If you put it side by side, we're up by maybe 0.2 points, whatever, ppm, and I was just like, that's not enough. You know what I mean? Like, let's get something that really works. And so developing the Hyper Boost, it was happenstance, man. Real talk, like full candor is like someone dropped the ball. They had exclusivity and they dropped the ball. And I was just like right there to be like, hey, how you doing? Just like and so, it's inside baseball. But bottom line is there's really in the US maybe 8 mega players, right? That can actually talk and walk the walk. And all of them have a good heart. They all want to do the right thing for the customer, but also branding is a big deal and money has to, but for me, it's always does it work? Does it do what it says it's going to do? That's it. If it doesn't, we're not going to do it. So when we were competing neck and neck like that, I was like, I just was praying to God that something would happen, that I would be able to find that leapfrog in technology for the bottle, right? Because some are cheaply made generators inside of it. Some of it is just like the fact that the glass ones would shatter and blow up on your face, and so stuff like that. It's like not all of them will. So that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that can happen. Go in knowing that. So what are you looking for from the bottle? Well, it says it's magical, so I want that. I want the magical element. It says it's going to help me with my inflammation. It's going to help me with the oxidation in my body. So I hope it's going to do that. It's going to have a therapeutic dose. And I use a layman's term example all the time, right? So 0.5 parts per million is about 1,000,000 gallons of regular water that you would have to drink, right? So the way to look at that is like a football field size swimming pool, 10 feet deep is 1,000,000 gallons. So I could give you the pool to drink, or I can give you the one glass, right? So when I give that example to people, and then they're like, okay, well, mine produces 3 ppm. Okay, so if it actually does that, how many times does 0.5 go into 3? And then you have something that's going to help you, right? Because we need 1.6 milligrams a liter. I know all the language is there, everybody knows it. But I just wanted to bring it down to the person who's buying the bottle. What are you trying to do? It's not a magic bullet. It's a life change situation where you're going to have to say, hey, I'm going to drink this water consistently. I'm going to drink it for my size, right? Sometimes we forget that part, right? You do have to remember it's a half your body weight in ounces of water a day you're supposed to drink, right? Most people are like, 8 bottles, 8 bottles. Well, no, what if I'm huge like me? Like, I'm going to need a gallon, you know? So I always just try to teach people, like, you are going to have to do your part of it, and the bottle's going to do its part of it, right? And so with our Hyper Boost, well, it actually produces up to 10.0 parts per million, right? And the next best one involved goes up to 8 parts per million, right? But even when they certify it here in the US, it says 5.6. Why does it do that? Because there's the human variable. It's the type of water you're going to put in, right? So if you want it to be at peak performance, you got to do it in a specific way to get the same result that the guy got at the lab, right?
Well, tell me what that is, and I'll do it. So what's the one I gotta put in?
Well, depending on the bottle that you got, right?
Yeah.
But essentially, you want to have either a purified water, right? For me, the best result comes from you're putting in purified water.
Define purified, because I
Oh,
think
here we
that
go.
word's so different than most people. Do you mean distilled? Do you mean RO? Do you mean clean mineral water? What do you mean?
Clean mineral water.
Okay.
Right? Clean mineral water. And the reason why that works well, I believe, I'm not a scientist, so this is where I get into my hocus pocus bag. But I just believe that the ions and the minerals present going through the membrane actually makes it more enriched when it comes out. Because PM membrane, or proton exchange membrane, is supposed to rebalance the water, right? So that you can be able to drink it and you still feel like it's not just a bland, flat water that you're drinking. And if you drink out of any of the bottles that have a good, generator inside of them, you could definitely taste the difference as far as how the water tastes after it's done through the electrolysis process.
This is actually a question that I had, because I haven't gotten a bottle ever, because I was vehemently opposed to them, because I couldn't find one that had any real manufacturing. Like you said, OEM was one of your characteristics. I mean, that is one of mine. I'm like, I want a single manufacturer who makes everything, who has total quality control, because the most like tragic thing is I've heard so many stories, and I hope this doesn't detract anyone from trying, of metal poisoning. Because if you make a cheap bottle, you're reacting water and metal. And if you have cheap metal over 6 months or whatever, you're going to get some metal in it, because if they didn't pay attention to it. So I was waiting for someone like you, or someone to be like, I made sure the manufacturing quality on this was top notch. So you're not risking, it's supposed to all be just pure benefit, right? Supposed to feel better, not have to even remotely worry
about
any of the downsides.
The human error aside, it's supposed to do what it's supposed to do. Right. And even like I speak about the Evolve, because Taiwan Hubbard, one of the great voices in the space, that's their bottle with Dr.
Molecular Hydrogen Institute.
Yeah, right. So Dr. Tyler Barron is also a part of that. And so it's a great bottle, right? And they brand Japanese, made, and all like German made glass, and like, well, we all got the same Triton grass at the end of the day, like, so it's just like it's kind of like too much forest for the trees situation.
Yeah,
the engine is what matters: titanium, platinum, and then the exchange membrane. That's it. If it doesn't have that, if there's aluminum, if there's this, that's where you avoid it.
Yeah. So what do people look for? So obviously your bottle is probably got it in that, but if people are comparing.
No, forget my bottle. Take my bottle. Listen, whatever for me, don't even buy any of my products. You know what I mean? Like, I'm that guy.
Okay.
If you can find something better, do that.
For in specifics?
You're looking for titanium, platinum, metal inside of there. You're looking for a proton exchange membrane that is, because most bottles give you the schematics, the high end ones anyway. the schematics of how the bottle is put together, the engine is put together. And that's what you're looking for. The anode and the cathode that are in there, they're gonna be able to last. And so when you talk about the bottles only last 1 year, my mom has had her Hydro Boost, the original bottle, is still operational 3 years later,
Nice.
right? So it's just how you take care of it. Do you clean it every week? Like for us, every Sunday there's a routine that we give our whoever buys our bottle. This is what you do to keep it performing at peak
But you
performance.
can clean them.
Oh yeah.
That was my next question. I was like, how do you clean these things?
You just throw it in the dishwasher. I had a friend I put it in the dishwasher. I was like, well, that was gone. All right. It literally says, do not put it in the dishwasher.
High heat, chemical solvents, good time.
Yeah. So, use citric acid.
Same thing. Okay.
Food grade. You can use apple cider vinegar. There's also one we put there. And then some people who have the ionizers try to use the hypochlorous acid, the 2.5 and so on. But for me, I would just use that for like the top half and the actual bottle part. I would never use that for the engine itself.
Yeah, I was gonna say messing with chlorine and free chlorine is a little touchy sometimes.
Yeah. Like unless you're a scientist, you got the lab coat on that. I would.
Citric acid's pretty boring and safe.
And and it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere, so you can use it. It's cheap. It's not something you're gonna have to just get a food grade one, right?
Right.
don't just be grabbing, making your own and stuff like that. But apple cider vinegar also works, and it's really good. But someone just told me the other day, Bill Gates owns all the apple cider vinegar in the U.S., man. And I was like, bro, I don't even know, man. I just
soon to be all the citric acid. No, I don't know. At some point, you just have to use a product. Yeah. Oh man. Okay.
But just because I know someone in the comments going to be like, "Did you know?" I'm like, hey man, I just found out last week.
If you got money, you can own a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
The other thing, Sutton, our mutual friend.
Yes.
Can you put an inhalation tube on one of the bottles?
Yes. So it depends on your bottle, right? So I said yes, like, yeah, everyone can do it.
Yeah.
But there's specific companies that make that with the inhalation tube cap. So it's a secondary cap that comes when you, like for us, if you buy the Hyper Boost DX, that's the deluxe edition. It comes with the inhalation cap inside the kit. And then you're able to have the nose cannula and be able to produce the inhalation gas.
And then so you can get all the gas out. So when you hit the button on the thing, it takes how long to generate?
Well, it's up to you, depending on how long you got time to sit there. So when you push the button, it's 5 minutes, and you push it twice, it's 10 minutes, right?
And that's just more hydrogen?
And it's just more hydrogen, yeah.
How long to get to 10 parts per million?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. So if you just push the button, walk away 10 minutes, and then
you come back, ready to
plug a tube in and start typing away and doing some digital content with the bottle there, and you're inhaling 10 parts per million of hydrogen gas.
He's like, let's heat up.
I mean, it sounds way too easy. Usually when people...
But that's why it's supposed to be easy to use, right? It's not supposed to be difficult. Your job is to just sit your butt down for 10 minutes and take it in. So I tell, like my mom is my main guinea pig in all of this because I want her to live forever. But yeah, so it's 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night. That's her routine, right? So before bed she does it, and then in the morning she does it. Peak performance in the daytime, and then right before bed, awesome sleep.
I'm so jazzed about it just because like 5 years ago when I got into this, you would have had to get, and I saw these all over the place, and I was like, I'm not even that much of a health nerd. Like either a big Brown's gas machine or a Lord's, I forget the brand, but there's ones that, produce drinkable water, but they're just big. And most people aren't going to sit whenever they're actually doing something like working or whatever with that next to them and breathe the gas. It turns into another habit you have to cultivate. So whenever I saw you could just plug it into the bottle, I was like, oh, I would actually do this because it could just be next to me.
Sutton was like, can I drink the water afterwards? I was like, I mean, you can. But
well, it's just mineral water then, right? Yeah.
But it was just so funny. He's like, hey, can I drink the water afterwards? I was like, sure, man. Like, I don't even think about it. But the key when it comes to these things is about a high purity output. Like, can you deliver the molecular hydrogen, right? So the nasal cannula and inhalation cap, that's great. You'll see most of them out there, just like other brands that have them. It is a thing. And it's lightweight, it is portable, right? So that's the thing that you want to make sure that you're attaching the cannula right. You're making sure that you're also cleaning it every time, not every time, but like every 3 times. But essentially, that you just keeping your products pristine so that they can do what they're supposed to do. Let them do their part, you do your part. That's what I tell people all the time. But yeah, you just sit there and you just take it in, do your job, do whatever you want to do. Like it's actually when you get it, you'll see what I mean, how easy it is. Because it's the same as just where's my bottle? Like so.
Does it look cool like all the cheap ones? Like, do you get a green or a blue LED?
Hey man, that's chromotherapy. What are you talking about, man?
Yeah, I saw that word. I had never heard that word before. What is chromotherapy? Really, I don't know what it is.
I love you. It's like deep dive. But yeah, so let me finish the cap. So the cap, it looks the same as this, but there'll be a place for the cannula to go over top, and then you just put that up. And so at a push of a button, my favorite word, you're able to have high grade molecular hydrogen. But yeah, so chromotherapy essentially is used with autistic children, with PTSD people, where it's just basically you're under the red light, you're under the yellow light. It just kind of like puts your brain at ease and allows you to be able to regulate yourself. So we put it into the bottle simply because as you're waiting that 10 minutes, it's still there and it's kind of just, oh, I'm about to get some health. This is kind of good. So it just puts you in the zone to receive whatever you're about to get.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. That's you're so like, cool. Look at this stupid blue light. It's like, I was jealous of it. That's actually what put me onto it was my son at his school. They have the same thing, and it's just a light in a tent. And so basically, whenever he needs to chill out, they put him in there, and they just have it running. And I was like, wow, well, how do they choose the colors? And the colors are just specifically to promote different things in your brain. And so yeah, so those are the colors that ended up in the bottle.
So is it the same thing as color therapy? I'm so confused.
I think it's the chroma just sounds science to
you. Yeah.
It's a scientific way to say color.
Cool. Okay.
And hey, in the chat, in the comments, if you could tell them it's otherwise, hey, by all means, I'm willing to learn.
Yeah.
I think it's a sciencey word.
I got one more in the weeds question about the bottles. And this was always the question I had with every other one I saw, which was, where does the waste product go? Because there's always a waste product. Like if you're generating hydrogen, where's the extra? Is it ozone? O3?
Ozone, yeah.
Okay.
That's what the vents on the bottom are.
Gotcha.
Right. So if your bottle doesn't have ventilation on the bottom, hey, just know that it's also just commingled back into the water. Right. Yeah. And that's why most of the glass ones were busting, is because they literally had nowhere to release, right, the gas, the other gas that they're making, right? So it's like, it was just too much pressure, and then they just bust. But so that's what the top of the Hyper Boost, that was the change from the Hydro Boost, is that literally now you can be able to push the button on the top, release the gas even while it's producing.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's top and bottom now, there's ventilation.
Okay. And then the other question is, so you have to put in already clean water, right? No tap water allowed.
I mean, you don't have to. You can put it in. You know what? I miss arsenic. Let me put some in there.
What happens if you?
I haven't got my latest dose. Like I haven't got my latest dose of PFAS. Let me put some in there. You know what I mean? Wow. Yeah. No. The reason why they say the filtered water inside is just simply anything that goes through this exchange process is going to now be bioavailable to your body. So whatever you're okay with letting in, that's kind of like the rule of thumb.
I was just making sure you didn't have some really advanced technology where you had a little mini filter in there and they could pour in tap water.
But they're creating one. It's going to cost you an arm and a leg,
right? Yeah.
Creating one. So there's a water expo, World Water Expo in June next month. It's in Shanghai, and I think someone is going to be releasing the one with the filter inside of it. So all the ones that tell you that they have a filter, they're really, it's not a real thing. Don't do that.
Yeah, I haven't seen one yet.
Because there's like a few of them that purport to. It's just part of their marketing language. I don't want to say the name, but they're out there. It's just the technology is not there yet. But maybe in June they will have that one. But there's also one that's a nano bubble. It's coming out.
That was my other question. It was like, are there any? Because like you were mentioning earlier, when I was really into this, I was looking at like research papers, and then I got overwhelmed and stopped caring. But all of the interesting ones were, like you said, either South Korean or Japanese. And there was a Japanese one I saw that had the nanobubble tech, but I don't know if he had actually made it yet.
Yeah, no, that's the one I'm like really looking out for.
Then you could bottle it, right? Because that's the whole issue with all of this technology is just not stable. So you have to do it now which is fine, but it would be, that's going to shift the whole world because then you can put it in a bottle
Yeah,
if
yeah.
it's
And
dissolved and stable.
the cool thing is that innovation has changed the space, and this is where it got hard with through my former thing is just because they're just like, but this is what we're doing to the
Right.
end of the earth. Jesus come back, we'll be going this way. Excuse me. So for me, like being in the hydrogen space, being at its infancy and it's seeing it grow, and it's it's supposed to be a $1.5 billion industry by 2030, and it's already probably going to surpass that. But for me, it's like that innovation is kind of like giving me the passion for it again, the purpose of finding products that are going to actually deliver for the end user, right? And so whether it's Japan or South Korea, it's the same. It's just where they're like kind of like AI. They're all battling, but it's still just AI, right? So where it gets really cool though is when they say, "Hey, we have a new way that we're going to be able to make more of it." Because see, right now at 10.0 parts per million, like you can't really go higher than that. That's why I love saying it. Because like right now, I'm top dog.
Yeah.
Not enough distribution. So if you know anybody that wants to get a bottle, but at the end of the day, it's like the pressure that builds up without the release valve, it would be too much. It's pointless, right? So at this point, the sweet spot really is where it's like from 6 to 8 right there. So if I'm overproducing, that's even better. But that's the sweet spot to know that you're every single time you use the bottle, you're getting that much inside the system. It's helping you to repair the cells, replenish the cells, rejuvenate the cells, and you're feeling better overall. And so the guys that are innovating in that space are really changing the way we're doing this business. And that's why, like, even with the ROH2, our under the counter model, like, why I'm excited about that is literally it's like giving you the most pristine water. That's the one we were talking about last time because of the extra level of filtration that's on there. And at the same time, able to produce molecular hydrogen. That's what you want.
Yeah, do a deep dive in that because
No.
the number of people that just want, I didn't think this was, I'm a guy, I don't care
Yeah.
about things on the counter. But again, my reality is not other people's reality. The amount of people I run into that's just like, I don't want anything on my custom made, $5,000 countertop, whatever. Like I hear that way too much. And just having something under the counter that also, and this is the other part that I think you guys probably solved, is filtration. Like literally you could bring anywhere in the world. Like I have a whole house tech where I can put it anywhere in the world and know exactly what's come out of it. But on the ionizer side, that's kind of tricky. So did you guys figure out a way to do that?
Yeah, so it's 5 layers of filtration plus one. Don't know why they just don't call it 6, but it's just trademarking, I guess. But you're like 5+1 filtration. You're like 6. You mean excuse me. But my favorite part about it is like the 6th layer is just there for taste and and color. I'm like, oh, it's nice. I get it. Like it sounds cool, but essentially, you have all the pre-filtration, robust pre-filtration, plus an RO filtration in the system. That's why it's ROH2, reverse. I had someone really like, "What's with the name?" I'm like,
I didn't get it until you just said that. Yeah.
Reverse osmosis and hydrogen is H2, so ROH2. And so it has a hydrogen core that produces molecular hydrogen, has a UV filter inside of it as well, and it also has 5 levels of filtration. So it's like literally you could take that machine and plug it in anywhere. But like you, literally everyone is like, I built this whole house around this faucet. Like, okay, weird, but sure. Now we have a solution for you. Because I actually prefer the on the counter model.
I do too, but I'm not
everyone. It creates ozone water, which is the hypochlorous,
I see.
Kind of like.
So you're under the counter. The ROH2 does just hydrogen-rich drinking
hydrogen water and reverse osmosis water, and for the purified function, and then it has the levels of filtration.
And then the one that goes on, what's the one that is on top of the counter called?
On the counter, yeah, the S2. It's the Elixir Series H2 machine. And essentially, it creates 3 levels of hydrogen, purified water, and ozone water. So that was developed as the Kate's husband. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, well, I can see that for sure. Other than the only difference, and people are probably just like, "What are you guys talking about?" So the difference that
One's
I
on the
can think
counter.
of, old school electrolysis keeps the minerals, right? You need the
Correct.
minerals for the conductivity to generate the hydrogen. And that was my question when we initially met was if someone's worried about minerals, do they
Mhm.
have to re-add them to the elixir series?
Yeah, no, they don't.
How do you do the mineralization if it's RO?
Oh no, no, the under the counter, right? The on the
Oh, it keeps
counter
the minerals.
keeps the minerals. Under the counter, that one is the RO
I
plus,
see.
and you select the RO function. So when you select the H2 function, it's having the remineralized water in it.
Oh, so
Yeah,
you're remineralizing it in the device.
yeah,
Okay, cool. How
yeah.
does that, do you know how that works? Because I
If you
often wonder
don't,
what people do. Do they, I mean, I always badmouth whether they deserve it or not under the counter reverse osmosis systems because when they say remineralized, what the cheap ones mean is we have a white tank on top of our reverse osmosis system that has potassium bicarbonate in it, and that's it, just to make
yeah,
it not taste like crap because
yeah,
potassium tastes a little sweet. That's
yeah.
not a remineralization. That's you
No.
running it across potassium, which whatever. But so whenever, like, what do you mean by remineralization?
So the proton exchange membrane, what it does is the anode and the cathode. Remember that we were talking about that. So it is made so that it can balance out the water as it comes out. So it does the hydrogen part of it, and then it also, because the minerals are present. So let's go
Yeah.
backwards a little bit. So we have the P940, we have the Series 2, we have the ROH2. That's the full system. Okay. And the Series 2 allows trace elements, trace minerals to go through and hit the ROH2. So in the process of creating, because you're selecting hydrogen, it has those trace minerals through, and then through the proton exchange, it's rebalanced out and goes out into the water. If you choose the RO function, that's where it's going to give you your distilled water.
Interesting. Okay. So not everything, the filtration for reverse osmosis is only used when you hit that button.
Correct.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Options are nice. Yeah.
That's how they made the 5+1, right?
Right. Yeah. There you
So
go.
that
Okay.
you'd still know that the fluoride's out, the PFAS out, all that stuff is out,
Yeah.
whether you're choosing one or the other. Now I'm gonna get more because whenever I talk to you, you always give me new questions to ask them. So
Yeah.
now I'm like, give me a schematic so I can give it to Alex.
It's just how my brain works. And it's
Yeah,
usually way more information than people care about. But I'm one of those people. I probably need to get over this at some point, but I need to know almost everything
yeah,
foundationally about how something works
yeah.
because that's just how my like abstract, I'm a computer science engineer by trade, so my brain
Okay,
thinks in abstractions.
got
Like
it.
having something in front of me doesn't do anything. I need to know like how all the moving pieces work for me
Yeah,
to accept it and for me to feel, I guess, a little safer using it because I know
yeah.
if someone asks me something, I'm like, let me think about where in my flow chart in my brain that fits in. But
You
obviously
know
most
what?
people don't
You,
need to
you
know that.
you've actually just helped me love my daughter a little bit more because now you've
uh,
given me words to how she thinks. Because she's
yeah.
that person. I'm just
Yeah.
like, I'm like, just eat the food, man.
Yeah.
She won't let us eat pizza. She saw a documentary. She's just like, hey, man, there's stuff in there, man. It stays in
Yeah.
there after they cook it. I was like, okay, you're too young.
It's a blessing and a curse. It's definitely like it's a belief system that the
Yeah,
information is filtering through, but I have
yeah.
like imaginary flow charts in my brain where I'm just like, where do the mineral? Well, I always ask about the minerals because it's so important in my opinion. Like I'm always under mineralized. Most people I think are probably under mineralized because I was a farmer for a long time. It's really hard to get proper amounts of minerals just eating, like because the food just is like 30% less than it used to be. So that's why I always harp on water that has minerals in it. And people have, if people have done distilled water forever, that's fine. If you feel fine, don't change anything. But most people who come to me don't feel fine. I'm not hearing anything on your side for some reason. Everyone stand by.
Is
Technical
this
difficulty.
working?
But yeah, it's better. Yeah.
Yeah, the mic died.
Oh,
Sorry.
gotcha.
But yeah, so um, minerals are vitally important, and that's why the Series 2 got me so excited, because it did have a deep level of filtration, but it also allowed the trace elements to go through. So that's the secondary machine. And then, like I said, if you choose under the counter or over the counter, now I only sell the over the counter if I know that the water in your area is not trying to kill you actively. Like
I
that's why I'm
see.
like, okay, over the counter is fine. But under the counter is what, like, most of the 38 states need under the counter, 100%.
Yeah, what's your like benchmark for trying to kill you? Like if
Uh,
you have PFAS or like what are you looking for?
so where I'm seated right now,
Texas is awful. Yeah.
but where I'm seated right now, without, to my knowledge, because for whatever reason I do it for everybody else, but I did look at the EWG for here.
Yeah.
We have PFHXS
Yep.
6,000 times
Oh.
more, more than the record. Like, I'm glad that when I came, everywhere I go, I travel and I put the stuff on, right? But I hadn't looked at it because I carry my stuff, so I know I'm good. But it was just when I looked at it, I was in the middle of a presentation. I'm like, and even here, let me punch in the zip code. I was just like, wait, what? Okay, so the kids aren't coming down for the summer. But yeah, so essentially, so benchmark for me is if it has 5 or has 9,
Yep.
then I'm going to tell you to get the under the counter, right? Because that's 14 different contaminants that you don't even know what they do, but they're not good for you. Right? They're
All the
going to
haloacetic acids,
going
HAA9.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just always like, if it has that in the water, or radium, radon, or uranium in the water, get the under the counter.
I got you. Anything radioactive?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You know what I mean? Because, like, if you think about it, the P940 has 5 levels of filtration. Then it has 6 levels of filtration in the Series 2. And then the under the counter has 6 levels of filtration. So you're looking at like 15 levels of, almost 15 levels of filtration before the water hits your house, your cup, or your food.
But you're keeping the trace minerals in it through that entire
That's
process.
that's what the Series 2
Wow.
is there for. Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite impressive.
And you know what? When I go to the water show and I'm going to see something really cool,
Yeah.
I'll come back like, I got even a cooler one for you, Alex. Like,
Well, that's the issue in water, and why I always like having these conversations is people are just like, is there just one thing I can do so
yeah,
I literally never have to worry about this? And you're like, it's changing so fast. There's also like if people wait to do something for whenever the new tech comes out, and I was like,
yeah.
well, you'll be waiting forever because there's always gonna be a new tech. So there's
Well, see, you're in luck, Alex. If
yeah,
you come with us, we have a 5-year bumper to bumper warranty with a lifetime extended warranty. And if something changes, we'll just swap it out for you.
yeah,
You
that's a good way to get people for sure.
know?
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
trying to get.
that's the issue in
Yeah,
the industry in general is
yeah,
I always told people, and I still do whenever they're looking at ionizers, and I'm like,
yeah.
okay, they all look the same. All the techs are almost identical. The question is what happens whenever the warranty runs out?
Yeah.
Like that's why manufacturing quality of all of this that we're talking about is so important, because
Mhm.
kind of like a car, it's like it's going to have some issue at some point. How much of a nightmare is it going to be to get it properly taken care of? Like you're not dumping a couple
Every
$1,000s
time.
on something. Yeah, and you don't want to do that every 5 years even. You want
Yeah.
this thing to last like a generation.
Correct.
So like how do you take care of it? And that's it whittles down the field quite well of
Yeah.
things that people are going to buy, because there's only a couple that are known to last, and that's why
Yeah.
Magic still has their they're still the golden one, because the machines are kicking after 30 years.
Yeah.
But when people want more hydrogen, then you start looking at the leapfrog technologies.
Alex, the craziest part about the imagine, I don't think that's, I won't say this part, but I'll just tell you this. It's
Yeah.
like the on the counter model, no maintenance, self cleans, right? Under the counter, self cleans, takes care, has no backlash, no surge protection, all that, right? So because I knew what I was going up against
Yeah.
in what we had before. But more important to me was, if something does come down the pipeline that is going to revolutionize your life, you should know about it. I'm not going to suppress it.
Hmm.
Right. So like our TAC one, the softener one, right? Literally $325. It's this big, right? And it's going to soften your water. It's not going to allow the magnesium and the calcium to come together. It's going to ion exchange and fix everything as far as softening your water. That's a $300 fix to a literally, I don't know, probably like to set it up, $3,000, and then maintenance every 6 months. You got to get the salt bucket,
For a full softener.
Yeah, for a full
Yeah. Oh
software,
yeah.
right?
They go up to $5,000. I mean, there's some really fancy ones that'll stick a piece of carbon in it too. And they're like, it does everything. And I was like,
It
there's
breakdances,
no
you know.
testing. Yeah.
It breakdances, it cooks for you,
Yeah.
right? But like this will not allow it to happen. It's Swiss technology. It's being
Mhm.
used all over the world, over 100,000 of them sold. So it's like it's out in the world. People
Yeah.
know about it. Over there, they're making sure that they're keeping the footprints of their home to do other things. So they're having to have a whole
Right.
new shed
Yeah, no
just
one
to
wants
have.
huge metal tanks. That's like because I'm in whole house filtration too, and that's the
Yeah, yeah,
gripe is
yeah.
the reason why I like, efficient smaller technology is no one want they people just don't want to deal with lime scale, but they also
Correct.
don't want to lug, 50 to 100-pound bags of salt, to have electricity, to have to call someone whenever the power goes out because the electronic controller on it splattered or whatever. Just streamlined, efficient, small solutions are like taking over everything.
Can you say that again? And then you say
Yeah.
Wealthy Water Group
This is
streamlined.
recording. Yeah.
No, just because it's like that's where, and people get mad at me. The way we price our stuff is for the customer. The way we procure our stuff, the quality is
Yeah.
for the customer. Like because at the end of the day, I always think of my mom raising 8 of us, and now someone comes and says the water is killing you. You should do something about it. And she's like, "How much does it cost?" Well, you got to sell one of the kids. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like it just makes no sense. So for me, I wanted to make sure that all these like the TAC one lasts 10 years, the P940 is 10 years, no maintenance, no one's coming over, and there's no sediment or filter change, none of that, right? Okay, that's a solution. That's a real solution that you can have, tested, tried, true, right?
Yeah.
That's what America's about, isn't it? Right? And then the series two, the only thing you're changing inside of there is that filter every 3 years. How much does it cost? $140 versus 1,400 every 2 years.
Yeah.
Like it's just a no-brainer, right? So this is not me shilling my products. It's just saying like the reason why you asked me earlier at the beginning why I'm doing what I do, why I came out of retirement, why
Yeah.
I care so much is because now I was able to see that there's a way to make sure people have safe, clean drinking water, and at the same time now they have access to the most potent, hydrogen producers on the planet. That's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
that's a legacy piece. I could go off into the quiet good night knowing that I've created this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, having things priced to actually be adopted and used by normal people is generally like I enjoy talking to inventors of technology, water tech all the time. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the hard piece. They're like, I know exactly what needs to happen. I haven't figured out a way to get it under 10 grand yet. And,
Yeah,
I don't want this just to be for people who own beach houses. And
exactly.
I'm around a lot of beach houses. I live in Wilmington, North Carolina.
I
So
gotta come see you, man. You said
yeah,
North
you
Carolina.
should.
I was like, you don't know how long I've wanted to come to North Carolina, man. I was just like,
Oh, it's a beautiful state.
now I
Yeah.
know someone there. Let's go.
Yep. On the beach too. Yeah. But the thing and the companies I really like working with and like showcasing and be like, this is actually affordable. You can have next gen cutting edge tech, if it's for your whole house or if it's hydrogen water or just getting clean water, that
Yeah,
won't make you take out a $15,000 personal loan, which is
yeah,
what people were doing beforehand.
yeah.
And that's fine if they want to do that, but you can also just choose to not. And
And there's also that.
yeah.
And
So
I
yeah, I
think
like,
because we've been in the industry for so long, it's like it's almost like it's a matter of fact to us, but to other people, like, okay, now convince me how to save money. You know?
right. Well, it sounds too good to be true. If you're
Yeah,
used to paying 10 grand plus just to get
yeah,
clean water, which to, any normal person, they're just like, why can't I just drink the water that's in my creek? Or like this didn't used to be a thing. Like I
yeah,
always have to go back to
yeah,
like, okay, we have all of these different technologies to just get water. And
yeah,
like prior to the Industrial Revolution, how did this happen? You're like, well, other than the like cholera and the dysentery, you would have to find a top natural spring.
yeah,
And almost all of these texts are attempting to mimic like, there's maybe 5 different like holy sites or mineral springs
yeah,
like Lourdes, France, Mecca, the Zamzam water, all these around the world. And all of these different technologies are capturing the best aspects of those water because you can't
exactly,
get there anymore. You just can't. There's very few water that comes out of the ground that you can just drink without having to worry about it.
exactly. And they don't want you anymore, man. People were going there for 6 months at a time. The population grew. They're like, listen, man, this is our
Yeah.
water. Get at
Yeah.
But yeah,
We covered a lot in that. So we got hydrogen, we got the mentioned ozone, because that's always a question when people are comparing ionizers, like
yeah,
what other features does it have? Because people buy things for the drinking water And then they're like, oh, I can use this for disinfection, or I can use it for my laundry, or if I can use it for my plants. Like I got my ionizer for agriculture for like the 6.0 water because it matched what I needed perfectly. So
Yeah. Okay.
for people who want water for a broad spectrum,
Mhm.
it's nice to know that there are other technologies now that are in that
They're
market.
there, and especially with the hydrogen generators now, you can actually change the way that the exchange actually works. So that if you wanted a lower pH coming out of the faucet, you can. Right? I'm not gonna do that because I'll just take take it as it comes. But like, there's people who literally 67% yield on your crop just because you're using, the
Yeah,
pH
pH
water.
specific water. Yeah.
Why not? Right? But the ozone water is a game changer. It's my favorite part of the over the counter model. It's
Mm.
just simply fruits and vegetables, fungicides, herbicides, pesticides. We're cleaning all of that. Upon contact, kills staph, MRSA, COVID, whatever germs and bacteria. You can use it in your laundry to keep the colors. My shirt is black. I've washed this shirt 100 times. It's still black. You know what I mean? So like we put a gallon of the ozone water in there, less detergent, go to work. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And we don't have to worry about the stuff coming in the laundry machine because we have the P940, right? So it's a game
Yeah,
changer.
I didn't think about that until the end of my, or until recently, being like, oh, these probably are ending up on my clothes and then in my skin. Like especially for PFAS or the
Yeah.
sketchier things like that. Yeah.
Listen, I was wearing dry fit, only dry fit, because I
Yeah.
got bigger, right? So I just wanted everybody to know I was big. And yeah, it turns out it's all PFAS. I was like, okay, cool. I saw a documentary on YouTube
Yeah.
came up, showed me just how much of it was PFAS. I was like, okay, so no more. So it's just so crazy because like I was actually trying to find a weaver's beam so I could make my own cotton, and
Hmm.
these are the future things I'm thinking about. But it's just like when you think about just 50 years ago, you didn't have to think about water, didn't have to think about
I go
food.
back a little further. 50 years was
I'm
whenever
from
the
Africa,
Green
so I don't know.
Revolution
I
happened.
don't know
Okay.
what y'all were doing over here in Africa.
Nothing good. That was when we started dumping pesticides on everything.
Okay.
Go back to like World War I, maybe. In the US at least. Yep.
Okay.
The farming revolution in the 60s and 70s was where everything just went to shit
Oh
because they
man.
started turning. I mean, that was the petrochemicals started turning into it's being dumped on food crops. So I
Yeah.
usually have to go back and bring people back before World War I, before
Wow.
even chlorine got introduced.
Yeah, chlorine is crazy. That's the one. But I see in Uganda, I think it was like 2008. Monsanto tried to come because we have some of the most fertile ground on Earth,
Yeah.
and so they were trying to bring that on. People picketed, rioted, whatever. They got right there. Like people weren't willing to give up. My grandfather, who actually is the biggest testimonial for the ionizer, they gave him 2 weeks to live. I travel my technology everywhere I go. So I
Mhm.
brought it. I was creating 11.5. I was giving that to him because they said the sodium or the saline drip that he was on, his muscles had began to atrophy. They couldn't actually use the drip. So I started giving him 11.5.
Oh
And
wow.
in 2 weeks, turned into a month, turned into a whole nother year life. So he passed away at 110. But literally, it was the
Wow.
machine that kept him alive. Every morning, I'd go over there. All his juices were made with the water, everything like that. So that's why when people say like, I'm hating on the tech, I'm like, listen, it gave me a year with my grandfather.
Yeah.
My daughters were able to meet him, and it was just great. But yeah, so for him to live as long, he had all his teeth. I live here. I lost my wisdom. I'm like, all the stuff came out. I'm just like, I should go back to Africa. That's right. I will take you up. People always say go back to Africa. I'm like, I will. You're right.
Nice. The testimonials are so outlandish, which is why it makes people it's hard
Yeah.
to believe.
Grandpa's crazy. Like even the doctor was looking at me like, what are you doing to him?
Yeah.
And the best part is my grandfather's a storyteller. So he would always be like, yeah. So the Japanese, they put robots inside the water. Like I'm listening to my grandfather tell the story of the KH. And I like, cause like you walk in and he's got people around him and they're listening to how he's able to feel better. Let me tell you about this water, man. Japanese, they put the robots in the water. They go in there and they find whatever sickness is in. They go in there and the robots are killing that sickness. I like because he was a soldier in World War II, so everything is war with him. But it was just the greatest story ever. Right? The 50 people like really, and they take his word as gold. So they're gonna go tell all the villagers. It's got technology with robots in it. But yeah,
Well,
so
even just with your mom, like
no, my mom's is crazy.
60 pounds,
Yeah.
doing
3 months.
nothing else. Like whenever I say that, no
Yeah.
one believes me, and they probably shouldn't. But it's those outlandish testimonials you don't read about when you're, doing like a quick PubMed search for molecular
Correct.
hydrogen or whatever. It gets you get lost in the weeds, and it's like, yeah, mild dose dependent, blah blah blah, and then you hear
Yeah.
like, yeah, I literally just kept eating fried food, did nothing
Yeah.
else but change my water to
Change your
hydrogen rich
water.
water,
Yeah.
drop
And she'll
60
tell you the
pounds.
story. She tells everyone they will listen. She'll
Yeah.
tell you. And the craziest part is that like she was pre-diabetic. And so then the doctor
Oh yeah.
asked her, what happened? Like, what are you doing? Like he thought that she was going to some shaman somewhere. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, he couldn't understand like why. Like I've been seeing you coming in. I've been giving you these recommendations, and now we're giving you less medication. And at the same time, you're healthier than you've been in a long time. What are you doing differently? He now has a bottle as well. So
Wow.
we start small, but
Yeah,
I love my mom.
I really like these conversations
Yeah,
because it makes it more real. You can
yeah,
see things on the internet all day, and obviously, well, people probably see this on the internet, so it still won't feel real. But if you're in the water world and you tell people these stories,
mm-hmm.
they're almost not believable because there's a product behind them. And they're like, yeah, 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 you're just trying to sell something. And you're
Yeah,
like, sure. Also, if you give your body like excess amounts of nutrition, which is what
mm-hmm.
hydrogen is,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a miracle. Your body is a really, really good healing machine. That's what it does. And it's what it's
Yeah,
designed to do. And it's
yeah,
just accelerated baseline nutrition. And
yeah.
just there's not many things that knock out inflammation as fast as molecular hydrogen. It is
Literally,
wild to see.
not even close. And the cool thing is, Alex, like I literally just say you're giving your body a super fuel
Yeah.
because it's a supercar. They're meeting together and they're doing what they're
Right.
supposed to do. That's all you're doing. And for me, like the stories will come over the course of 17 years. Of course, you're going to meet different people, different testimonies, whatever. But for me, the most profound thing is like you, who's listening to us right now. Don't buy mine. Find somebody else. I'm not worried about that. Just get the water into you for 21 days consistently. You'll tell me. In fact, come back to this video, write in the comments, hey man, I've been drinking for 21 days, nothing happened. I'll call you a liar and find you wherever you are. I have a special set of skills. I will find you. No, because it's just never happened. And all the time I've been in this industry, someone drinking the water that the way that they're supposed to drink it and not have a result. It's never happened. I have a friend of mine who literally flew down here to work with me in Texas specifically because of what happened to him. He came to visit me for a weekend. He was on his way to Vegas, so his flight was 2 days away. He came to my house, suffering from crazy acid reflux, just gastrointestinal issues. By the time he's leaving, he's like, "Yo, bro, I haven't felt like, well, what happened?" Like, it's probably the fact that everything we cook here is with the water. You're drinking the water. You're bathing in the water. Like, you had a crazy detox. You know what I mean? So I just tell everybody, try the water. It doesn't have to be mine. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
Alex's. Just
Yeah.
get it in you, man. If you want to live healthier and the way that you were made to live, there's a reason why Japan has the most centenarians on the planet. They've
Yeah.
taken high focus on nutrition and the water that they drink. That's it. Between those 1-2 punches, there's no way you'll ever be the same.
Well said. Did we miss anything big that you would like to cover? Because I think that rounds it out pretty well.
I'm just grateful for you, man. I'm glad for the work that you're doing. It's really noble. And
Likewise.
what I love about it is like you're coming from a place of like this. I'm neutral, no dog in the fight except for I
I
want.
took a year off. I used to be more dogmatic, but I went into
Yeah,
finance kind of like you for a year. Hated
yeah,
it, but that kind of broke my I just like talking about water, and it's
yeah.
still one of the most impactful things I've ever found for helping people get healthier. Just
Mm-hmm.
if you can get rid of the toxins for one, like it's the most unknown source that toxins come in on, like heavy metals, all the
Mm-hmm.
things that you can look up on our water report. And I've never seen someone go through such dramatic changes without changing anything else.
Yeah, yeah,
Like doing a food detox is, can be a little rough. You have to make
yeah,
decisions every day. It can be a little socially awkward. Just changing it really sounds too good to be true, but
yeah,
I've seen it over, and I've only been in this game for 5 years, and the
yeah,
amount of stuff I've seen is wild.
yeah. Well, the moment you realize just how much your body is water, right?
Yeah.
Everyone knows, oh, up to 75% water. No, no, no. Your brain sits in water, yeah, up to 85%, right? Your blood plasma is 90% water. Like, yeah, that's why it has an effect. So just change your water, change your life.
Yeah. There you go. Had to pitch it at some point. Yeah.
Right? No, but even just yesterday, I landed yesterday, did a presentation right when I landed. The lady tells me we haven't been using our water. She's in Florida for 8 months. She's pregnant. They lug the jugs in to bathe, to whatever. I was just like, why? There's solutions. Well, we don't trust the solutions. It's like, okay, but you have 4 young children under 5, right? Like that's it. You're putting a trauma that's going to be generational. Or we find a solution, we use a solution, and we heal that trauma.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I love the nature of the work that we do. For me, people can make as much money as they want to make. For me, it's the impact piece, right? That kid is going to grow up knowing like there is a better way, and we're doing that, and then they'll pass that on to their children. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, the trust thing is huge. That's the big thing. And that's what I hear all the time. And I don't trust half the stuff because
Yeah,
I see the 20,000 different companies. I'm like, this is overwhelming.
yeah.
I get caught in analysis paralysis too, which is why
Yeah.
I just look at testing, and
Yeah.
it's easy to whittle down. It takes a lot of time, but the solutions are there. And that's why I do these conversations, be like,
Yeah.
there are real solutions.
Yeah.
If you're feeling just not like, if you don't feel like you think you should,
Mm-hmm.
and you're probably right, then water's a really easy place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah. Well, where can people find you, systems, the company, all that jazz?
I'm currently, if you're looking for a night out, I'm I'm sorry, I'm always playing around all the time. But yeah, so wealthywatergroup.com if you're in Canada. Rest of the world is www.usa.com. And then, we're on Instagram, Facebook at Wealthy Water Group. And yeah, other than that, man, we just hope that we can help as many people as we possibly can.
Yeah, I am super interested in that bottle. Give me the US website again, because you spit that out.
www.usa.com.
www.usa.com.
Yeah.
Are you based out of
people,
BC?
when you guys get, pardon?
Is the Canadian, so you're Canadian based, is it based out of BC?
Yeah, it's based out of Vancouver. Yeah, we have a US one and a Canada one because Americans be American,
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Like, is these prices in monopoly money? So we had to make a US site because the Canada prices look crazy, man. It's just like
that's true. Yeah.
So, but yeah, no,
cool.
we're
I'll put
excited.
Those in the show notes.
Yeah, we're excited, and the great thing is this is like, when I don't know, I didn't say this part, but I went to school outside of Dallas, a place called Tyler, Texas. Excuse me. And I've always fell in love with the States. I like the States, and I was just like, how do I find a way to give back? Because that 1 year I spent in Dallas for school was literally shaped the next 20 years. You know what I mean? So now I'm coming back 20 years later, prodigal son style, and saying, listen, I found something that can help, because they have the worst water.
Yeah.
Sorry, bad. But Florida, you next, but
yep.
Look us up. We'll be able to help you.
All right, I'll put in the show notes. I really appreciate your time, Horrasias, and
thank you.
We might do a follow-up to this, because I feel like I can talk to you for a long, long time.
I know. I enjoyed it as well.